Welcome to Talking Trades, the podcast. We talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Jam, I'm a DC fan.
And I'm John, I'm a Marvel nut.
And I'm Matt, and I like both.
Yeah, Matt is officially just a part of the podcast now. Not just a producer, not just a friend, not just a pretty face, but he's all of those, and he has to do work by reading. Nerd. How's everyone doing? John, you were off last week. How was your Xenoblade?
It's been great.
Now, I've never played a second of those games. What do you do?
It's an RPG. It's an RPG. This one, it's a single player RPG. It's largely plays like an MMO. I was talking to Matt a bit about it off mic, where like you have it's a more active. You have attacks on cooldown. You got to go A, then B, then C, that sort of thing. And then you go to towns, you get quests, etc. So it's single RPG, plays like an MMO, but it's not an MMO. It's really fun.
Sounds like fun.
And the whole world is on these two gigantic titans.
Ooh.
It's really cool.
You also had a birthday last week.
It'll
be multiple weeks after this episode eventually comes out, because I think we got 2 in the can still. So I don't know when this is coming out. This one should come out next chronologically. But hey, happy birthday, John.
Thanks.
What'd you do for your birthday?
Nothing. Nah. I worked.
Why? That's crazy.
Almost like there's a pandemic or something.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, it's a whole mess, but we'll figure it out. The original Lambert birthday was going to be Wonder Woman 1984, but that's not August.
Yeah.
So we'll circle back in August, I guess.
Yeah, my birthday was going to be Black Widow, so.
Hey.
Yeah. We'll eventually see each other, not through a computer screen.
No, we won't. It's going to be computer screens forever.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw John last week, so.
Oh, well, rub it in.
I'm doing great. I saw John, Jen, and Justin, so
wow.
It was just the J group hanging out.
Yeah, clearly.
It was fun. Let's talk. Okay, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention this. There is a global pandemic going on, but on top of it being Pride Month, it has been changed to Rage Month on Twitter, which I like because there's a lot of protests and a lot of demonstrations and movements for Black Lives Matter and to end police brutality. And let's just lay this out right here. The 3 of us on this podcast all agree that Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
And if anyone meets us, if you disagree with this or this offends you, feel free to stop listening. We will not miss you. If you want to talk with us or you want to have a discourse, we're more than welcome. But we will not welcome hate, and we will not welcome bigotry on this podcast. I know personally that I've said and done stupid things in the past, but I feel that I've grown as a human being. And at no point did I ever actually have hate in my heart. I just, as a child, made some stupid comments that I'm very glad the internet wasn't around for. And I've grown as a human being, and I feel like I've become a better person, and I get to see the difference. And so I'm always willing to give someone a chance, but I will not allow hate on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do either of you have anything you'd like to add to that, or?
No, I think you nailed it on the head for me.
All I would like to add is that tear gas is a war crime.
Yes, it sure is. In the Geneva Convention, which is the first time I've said that, not as a joke.
I know.
But, with that being said, we do want to keep this podcast a source of love, hope, and fun. So we will be tackling some books written and drawn by creators of color for the next few episodes. And we're doing this not to make a statement, but yes, to make a statement, because these people deserve to be recognized and they deserve to be heard. Voices have been silenced for too long in this country and in this world, and we have a small platform, and we want to do what we can to raise awareness on our small platform.
The maybe 4 of you who were looking forward to specifically Superior Spider-Man Full Auto, it will be postponed a while.
Yes.
We apologize if you're upset, but we really hope that you understand. It's for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this being said, all of the housekeeping done, I wanted to make sure that was said before we do anything. Let's jump right into This Week in Geek.
This Week in Geek.
This week in Geek, gentlemen, we've got some news, some info. What do we have, Matt? Check the Discord. What's the first thing that's in there?
There's the Henry Cavill's Superman will return in multiple DC movies. That's the first thing I think that we
That's pretty
haven't
dope.
covered yet.
That's been confirmed.
That's
That he's going to
awesome.
be back in not just the Justice League Snyder Cup. He's going to be back for a Man of Steel 2.
Yeah,
For Jerseys now.
It's awesome to have
They've
him
confirmed
back.
which movies?
I don't think so. I don't think
but
they've
Man
said
of Steel's
which.
the one that like it just seems super obvious, and I'd be so stoked to see more Henry Cavill Superman.
His Superman was fantastic. I mean, we were all thinking after The Witcher started that he's done with Superman because he's moving on to another huge franchise. But
Well, it was that, and it was the fact that there was no official statement like either way, and that everything was hung in limbo. And Justice League
And
came out in
Mustache Gate.
2018,
God, was it
2017.
really?
When did that movie come out? I don't think it was
18.
last year. Yeah. So the fact
Oh
we've
my
heard
God.
zero, and then there's a Superman cameo in Shazam, but it's just like the torso and that's it, and it clearly wasn't Cavill. Like,
yeah,
Sorry, it was 2017.
oh, I'm sorry, it's been 3 years.
Oh my God.
My bad. My bad.
Unreal.
Yeah. So the fact that it was just nothing, it was dead silence.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see more of him. I always am.
And not to mention
He's great.
the whole DC's roadmap is a question mark zigzag with multiple arrows crossing each other
There's
as far as where they want to
especially-
go.
especially now with the Snyder Cut coming out, we don't even know how their roadmap looks.
It looks like an Escher painting, is what it looks like. Who's to say?
Yeah.
Speaking of the Snyder Cut, after that was officially announced that it's coming out, fans have taken to the hashtag that happened after the Netflix series Daredevil was canceled after Disney started Disney Plus with hashtag Save Daredevil is now back, and it's a thing again, reinvigorated after Justice League's fans successfully get the Snyder Cut.
Good.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Right.
It's really exciting, and just kind of go off of that because I know I saw a thing a few days ago that Daredevil's rights will officially be back in Marvel's hands in November of this year. So that's really exciting to see.
That is really
And-
good.
And
I just
yes,
wish Defenders Universe wasn't just canceled straight up
yeah,
at like all at once almost. Like, I don't know. They just got to turn the stick on that.
yeah. Like I've said before, I hope all of the actors that are a part of the Defenders universe find work in Disney as those characters. I think that would be a really good move by Disney.
I just wanted
yeah.
my Jerry v. Murdoch court battle.
Oh man, yes.
That's all I
Would
wanted.
have been so good. Would have been so good. It is what it
Yeah.
is, though. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
hopefully we can get it now.
Yeah, we'll see. I know I mentioned the rumors of maybe the actor who plays Daredevil showing up in the
Charlie
next
Cox.
Spider-Man movie, Charlie Cox. For all we know, that could be a thing now, because I'm sure that the new Spider-Man movie isn't going to come out before November this year, unless they really want to pull a fast
Do
one
you-
on us.
No,
Here's the thing. Do you see what I'm
there's
doing,
no
though?
way.
Do you see what I'm doing?
No.
Not holding my breath.
Okay. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah, Black Widow's out in November. There's no way we're getting a movie
No.
before Black Widow.
No. Mainly that was a joke.
Okay.
Continuing, Batwoman. We all thought that they were just going to recast Katie Kane. They are not. They're doing a completely new character, which is really interesting.
So here's what's happening with that. They are going to have a new character come in entirely. And the name that they have right now is Ryan Wilder. And they're saying this is probably a placeholder name, but it'd be interesting. This could be a totally new character. But the person's going to be a very different character than Kate Kane. Supposedly, this is what's being said, a former drug runner who knows the dark side of Gotham. It is a bold and unprecedented move for Batwoman and raises the question how this new Batwoman will interact with the show's supporting cast and who caused Kate Kane's disappearance.
Interesting.
So we don't know how they're going to write her out, but we do know that they are going to write her out.
And she'll be back in the Crisis 4 years from now.
Yep.
That's how this is
I'm
going to
into
go.
it. I'm into it.
I mean, as long as it's Stephanie Beatriz, I'm in. Give me Rosa Diaz as Batwoman. That is what I want.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I'll watch that. I'll watch that. I'll watch that 120%.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a fantastic actress who's nothing like her character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Is
No.
literally night and day with her.
Yeah, much, much different. Speaking of people who are much different than we thought, Cyborg in the Zack Snyder cut, apparently, John, what did we say with Batman vs Superman?
From the theatrical cut?
Yep.
Oh, cut Lois Lane's plot.
Right. And we said that, Cyborg sucks in Justice League, right? Nay,
Yeah.
nay. We were wrong. Apparently,
Currently,
Zack
we're
Snyder,
right. Currently, we're
right.
correct.
Yes. But apparently, it looks like we might be wrong in the future because Ray Fisher came out and said a lot of nice things about, thank you for letting a black man with no film credits to his name have a seat at the creative table, input on framing, things like that. And Zack Snyder retweeted this and responded, "You are the heart of my movie." This is leading to a lot of speculation, and not just speculation, but it seems like there's some info to back this up, that Cyborg will be a major figure in the recut Justice League, which makes sense. The man can talk to mother boxes and can make boom tubes in the comics. It makes perfect sense that he would be like warped and twisted by Darkseid. And that could be a huge character development. The scene that they show in pictures is Ray with no damage to him, with his mother and father on a beach, and Cyborg, Vic, and Vic is turned looking at them, and he's also not injured, so he's looking at himself in a world that could have been. And if that is what's inside his brain, and you get to see that, I'm in. I'm super into that. That's how you make that character interesting. You give him humanity.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie that we saw, he's very robotic, and I know that's he's a cyborg. I know, but like you don't make me like him. You don't make me root for this guy. This kind of development as a character could make me care so much more about this character, and I'm very excited if that's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
One great thing that the Snyder Cut has going for it as well, I just thought about this, is we will be viewing it after having seen Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
So mentally, we have more development for Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be, there are so many new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
watching Justice League.
That's very true.
Sorry, not really necessarily related, but
no, but it talks to the point of, you don't want to have to introduce everybody, but if you have someone new to introduce, make them the focal point. If you make Cyborg your focal point, you can make that a developing and interesting character. They didn't.
Yeah.
So who knows what's gonna happen? But I hope it's good. I got my fingers crossed here, Mr. Joss Whedon.
I really hope that the HBO Max is seeing this as a way to jumpstart the DCEU. I think interest has never been higher in Justice League the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, people care. People outside of this podcast care about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm an unabashed. It's not great, but I like it. I understand. Yeah. I know it's not great, but I like it. But this is giving me new hope.
Yeah.
You know that shirt that John got me that says Batman vs Superman is a good movie? We might have to make a shirt of our own that says Justice League was doing fine. It was all right. On the back, but Joss Whedon screwed it up. Allegedly.
Moving on, we had some big news from this week here. DC cuts ties with the Diamond comic distributors.
This is insane. So here's something that I didn't know. Diamond was exclusive. And people who don't know, Diamond is the people who, if you went to a comic book store and you bought a comic, Diamond are the people who go to DC and say, okay, Timmy and Johnny's comic book store want to buy your book, DC. They want this many. Can you give it to us? And then DC would say, sure thing, Diamond, here you go. And then Diamond would turn around and give it to the stores. So they were the middleman. There wasn't any direct distribution. Now, Diamond is gone, or they're shutting their doors, and they're not paying comic book stores, is what it looks like here, is what I'm reading. Diamond was not paying out their money to the comic book stores because of the COVID, this global pandemic. So DC, on top of this, is saying, you know what, we're done with you. We're going to go direct distribution, and we're going to go through our own distribution. Apparently, Diamond had a monopoly on the industry, which is not saying that they're the reason comic book stores were closing or not closing, but a monopoly is never good in business. It doesn't create
it doesn't breed competition. It doesn't. It stifles creativity because there's no incentive to be creative.
And
It's not good.
there's no way to check prices, right? There's no way to say, oh, well, they're doing this, they're doing this. So they had a monopoly. They had a chokehold on the industry. So with this happening with DC, and DC was doing good for a while there. There still are. I mean, as far as good as you can do with a global pandemic. If this works, this could be a huge blow to Diamond, and it might make it so that comic book stores are able to get books at competitive prices.
So Diamond is closing as a business, or they're just no longer dealing with DC?
So Diamond still exists. They have the last time you can order comics as a comic book store is June 15th. So that's next week for us, or 2 weeks for us. Diamond announced that it would withhold payment. So they didn't pay DC. They didn't pay stores. They didn't pay DC, citing cash flow issues. This is when they closed their doors as the pandemic. So Diamond will still exist, but DC says we're done working with you. DC left.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. But that's DC news with a little bit of like silver lining to it. Hey, competitive pricing. We got some DC news that has a little bit less silver lining to it. The Flash TV show is a good show. It's a real good show. Like it a lot. Big fan. They introduced the Elongated Man.
This is something I came across and was very sad.
Yeah, he was played by Hartley Sawyer, and he had some tweets that surfaced, and these aren't tweets that are like, ooh, that's not great, and from 2004. These tweets were like from 2015.
Yeah, there are some that were pretty recent.
There are many that we cannot read.
Most of them.
Yes, most of them is correct.
Some of the tweets I read, I was like, okay, that's just kind of off color, but it's not that bad. Then other ones, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel like the off color ones were kind of peppered into the images just to make you not be super angry.
Yeah.
One that we can read that is very telling of what you can expect is from September 11th, 2014. I know.
Oh, boy.
The tweet itself is out at dinner and just exposed myself as a racist again.
See, that's the one that I read, and I'm like, what? Okay. One, don't ever tweet that. Don't say that. But maybe if you're just making like a joke and it just came out wrong, fine. But that is the tip of the iceberg with these tweets. And like John said, we can't read the rest of them.
Yeah.
They involve like really, sexual assault, physical assault, just racist comments. It's bad. It's really bad.
And like, I don't understand if you go like expose yourself as a racist again, how do you not take a moment and just reflect on what's happening to you?
And he didn't say like, oh, someone called me a racist. And it's like, oh, well, I wonder if that person called you a racist. No, he says it like dude.
Yeah.
And he's released a statement saying that he's sorry and he hopes to do better, blah, blah, blah.
I'm not saying people can't change, but
I'm not saying this guy's the devil. No, when the J.J. Abrams firing happened, we were like, this might be too far.
But you also
I don't feel that way.
With did you mean
not J.J. Abrams? Sorry, the Suicide Squad.
What
guy.
Is his name? Yes,
James Gunn.
James Gunn. Thank you. I think the main differentiator here, I believe, is the intent. Whereas James Gunn was going for to be a shock artist.
Yeah,
who had no hatred in his heart with those tweets at all. He was going for comedic value.
12 years old.
They were also like out there and clearly facetious.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these are seated in hate.
Yeah, they're bad ones.
very bad unhealthy thoughts. So you have to look at intent, and his intent was not to go for shock value.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Grant Gustin, the Flash, my Flash, personally, he's great. He is the Flash on the Flash TV show. He had a statement today that is really good. Too long for me to read all here, but the important thing is that he brings up the fact that this kind of reflects on what we're dealing with right now, and that he wasn't upset. He was mad. He was really angry that this happened. And not angry that the man was fired, angry that the man said this kind of things, and he was friends with him.
Yeah.
And he talks about how he wants to bring a permanent change to the world. He wants this to be for not just his family, but for Black families, for brown families, for families of every color and gender. These stories are part of the American narrative. They must be heard. Things like that. His statement's quite long. It's on Instagram. I recommend that you check it out. I will.
Is it elongated?
Boo. Boo. Read the room. Boo. I will repost it on the Talking Trades.
I hear a big laugh. I don't know.
Twitter and Instagram for everyone else to read it. But it's very interesting. But it's good to see someone like him. He's somebody who has been on the forefront of straight white men who are not going to be silent about the situation. And I really appreciate him for that. I think that he's somebody who I've consistently looked to as a beacon of positivity in Hollywood, and this doesn't change that at all. It just solidifies that. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I point out that he's a straight white man because there's plenty of straight white men in this country who are doing nothing, in fact, making it worse. And I don't think that Grant Gustin's one of them, and I think he's an angel, and I think that we should treasure him while we have him.
He is an angel. He's a great person.
I agree with everything you said.
Yay. All right. The last bit of news perfectly transitions into a book for this week. Bitterroot. We're reading Bitterroot this week. We'll talk about it in a second. But I found an article from October, after looking into this more, that Ryan Coogler is going to direct a movie based on this book. Ryan Coogler, who brought you Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
I am excited.
It's going to be awesome.
The book was great. Black Panther, like, obviously fantastic.
He's producing this movie. He's producing Black Panther 2 and Space Jam 2. One of those things is not like the other, but that's okay. I'll forgive him for Space Jam 2.
Space Jam 2, yeah.
You know what? Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. You know, you can't hold that against.
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm sure you got to look at the sheer amount of money doing Space Jam 2 is going to make you. And like, I get it.
He also brought David Walker, who wrote Bitterroot, in to kind of flesh out ideas for the movie.
Hey, that's great. I love it when the comic creator is brought in.
I just like when Ryan Coogler is involved in things, because Ryan Coogler, if he makes a movie that's half as good as Black Panther, the movie's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Well, that, and one of the strengths I feel with Umbrella Academy, that adaptation, was bringing in Gerard.
Oh, yeah.
As far as executive producer and the creative. So I think that doing that with Bitterroot is only going to make it a stronger product.
It's only going to help for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. That's all the news that's fit to print this week. Let's jump right into
this week.
The pull list.
No, we just did that.
Here's your pull list.
This week on the pull list, we are reading Bitterroot, written by David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and created by David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Greene. We have Rico Renzi and Heather Antos are also involved in this book as color artist and editor, respectively. Now, this book, we came across this one because last week John brought up the idea of doing this exact thing, talking about creators of color and how interesting that would be. And I was able to stumble upon this book, and got to tell you, this is an all-star cast of creators. David Walker, people might know him for Luke Cage, Nighthawk, and Power Man and Iron Fist most recently. But he also did, get this, 2 Planet of the Apes books, which we've been talking about recently.
Very timely.
He also, him and Chuck Brown are also currently working on 2020's Marvel Voices book,
Oh, nice.
which is interesting. Yeah, so that's really cool. Chuck Brown did Civil War II.
We found a way. We found a way
Bitterroot,
to bring in Civil War
Marvel.
2.
Oh my god! I didn't even think of that. Oh, yeah, God. Well, in spite of that fact, he's done a lot of amazing books like those. And then we have Sanford Greene, who is my favorite Power Man Iron Fist artist ever. He does the best job. It's so cool. He's done work on Star Wars Tales. He's done work on Spider-Man: The Marvel Adventures, Captain America: The Mighty Avengers, which is when Falcon was leading the Avengers, as well as the Deadpool team up and the Kingsman comic book. So these three are phenomenal artists.
They all have
writers.
a
and we're
very extensive body of work that is
Yeah.
highly respected.
And I've met two of them.
Yeah.
No, I've met one of them. I met David Walker at C2E2 once.
Nice.
Got his autograph. I met the other one I was thinking of was Brian Stelfreeze, but he worked on Black Panther with David Walker, I believe. But he was the artist behind the first volume of Black Panther. Brian Stelfreeze was. That man's an angel, by the way.
Yeah.
So is David Walker. David Walker's a sweetheart. They're all great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this book, the idea around this book is 1920s Harlem, New York, and it's the Harlem Renaissance. And for those who don't know what the Harlem Renaissance is, I am with you because I learned about history in American schools, public schools, so I didn't learn jack.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say there was some stuff I had to look up because I did not know what it was talking about. And I looked it up,
But I
was like,
but I do know what the Harlem
man,
Renaissance is.
this was definitely not covered in school.
No, absolutely not. So the Renaissance that you think of when you think of Renaissance is the Italian Renaissance, coming out of the Dark Ages, coming out of the Catholic or religious control.
Yes, that is the royal Renaissance, as it were. Like that's the main Renaissance that word is used to describe.
So the Harlem Renaissance is very similar. There's still a lot of oppression for blacks and people of color in America at this time. Still is now, but in the 20s it was really bad. But the Harlem Renaissance is the people of color in Harlem and New York and these urban areas creating art, creating music, going to schools finally. Like it's their expansion, and this book does a great job of displaying that. It shows you without having to tell you, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So our book opens with monsters attacking people in New York, and people. This group of this black family in New York, and they're dealing with one of the monsters on their roofs. And there is the two people in the family. There's one very, very large, very, very
He's my
eloquent
favorite.
man.
Berg is my favorite. I love him.
He's fantastic.
Berg is the best one.
He's wonderful.
Berg, and you have Cullen. These are of the Sangrai. I have trouble saying
I also don't know how to pronounce it correctly.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna say Sangrai because it kind of sounds like sanguine,
Blood.
which is like related to blood and to like vampire stories and like the macabre. So I'm gonna go with Sangrai because it's kind of similar. But they're fighting a monster, and Berg is just sitting back, sipping tea and throwing out
a saucer.
It's the best. And he's throwing out all these like 17 syllable words at this guy. Oh, it's so good.
Imagine his voice like Sir Hammerlock from Borderlands.
Oh yeah,
Like that same kind
Easy.
of like it fits.
I'm blanking here. Is he in 2?
Yeah, he's in Borderlands 2 and
Is he
Borderlands
the
3.
beginning of 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I could hear that
Who
absolutely.
is also actually a monster hunter.
like
Yeah.
just a very quick snippet of his dialogue. Cullen, might I offer a bit of sagacious insight to your current predicament? That's the tone.
Oh, it's so good. He drops the words in one dialogue box. He says predilection, predominating, and pertinent. Bang, bang, bang. The man is incredibly well spoken. Also, the tea saucer he's drinking out of is Cthulhu
He's
as
very
an elephant. I think.
loquacious. If I may drop my
Yeah,
own
he
17
is.
syllable word.
Wow.
He's also got a sweet head tattoo
Yeah, and a majestic beard.
Yeah.
and a sweet staff.
Big old beard.
I'm a sucker for people who use a bow staff or a staff as a weapon. Donatello, Berg, that's it. But still,
I was gonna say you love like everyone in this book. Then a lot of people have staves, and it's sweet.
Yeah.
this book is right up my alley. I love it so much. We also meet one of the women
Well,
in the
we've
family.
described Berg. We didn't describe Cullen. Cullen is a dude. He seems pretty average.
He's Chris Tucker in
Yeah.
the first Rush Hour.
Yeah, like his role of like the 20s to 30s male in the family is to do the fighting. That's his role. He's not particularly adept at it. That's who he is.
Mhm.
Yes, and he's very young here.
So maybe teens or
like just
20s.
of mine.
Yeah, he looks super young.
Yeah, 20s. But I meant like, just like he's green as far as the family
Yes.
business goes. But what is the family business, you ask? Well, monster hunting. The men hunt monsters. The women work in the kitchen. This is the way the family works. One of the women in this family, Blink is her name. Belinda is her real name. Blink doesn't want to be in the kitchen. She's down to help. She wants to help her great aunt, Ma Etta, but she would rather be involved fighting. She's a good fighter. She's very, very
Way
strong.
better than Cullen. Just
Yeah.
throwing it out there.
Oh my
Because he's
God,
like
yes.
struggle busing, and she is like, I should be doing that. I'm way better at that. I don't know why I'm stuck in here doing this. But the real reason is Ma Etta,
Yes.
clearly the matriarch of the family. She let Blink's mother fight on the front lines. And then
Yes.
Nora, and she died. And that's racked her with guilt. And so she will not take an action that will consciously result in putting more people at risk than have to be. So as a result, she's not putting Blink on the front lines.
Yeah.
You can't
I
blame
get
her.
it.
Can't blame her. Matt, who does Ma Etta remind you of?
Mother Abigail.
Thank you, God. Mother Abigail from The Stand, who is the matriarch of the entire book.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Ma Etta. Absolutely.
Yep.
So the family business is monster hunting, and the business is booming, guys. Business is pretty good.
Mhm.
Which is
The
good or bad,
family
depending on. There's a
Go
lot
ahead.
of monsters, but business is good.
One of my favorite parts of this book is the fact that they have this cop on who's with them. He works them. He lets them do their thing, and he covers up for them. He covers up for the fact that they're running around with like guns and stuff like that and weapons, and they are
In 1920s Harlem.
yeah, wouldn't be allowed. So this cop is down. He works with them. He makes sure that they're protected. He brings monsters to them. He brings people to them who need help. Things like that. He's great, and he supports them as best as he can, which is super necessary.
Yeah.
But they don't go deep into this. There's like, yeah, this is it, and it's just like a show don't tell, and I like that. We also have
Dr. Sylvester and Miss Nightsdale.
how cool
Yeah.
are these two bad guys?
They're really interesting. They're really interesting.
This book does the thing where the bad guys, spoiler alert, the bad guys are very justified.
Yeah, because at this point, I didn't know they were bad guys.
No, me neither.
I just thought they were these other people across town doing their own thing.
Well, you see two black people working in a lab with like macabre stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just after you saw a whole
A
family
lot
black
of
people working with macabre,
vials and like green goo and books and stuff strewn about.
it makes sense that they might be working together, but the more that they talk, okay, these clearly are not on the same side, but you're not sure yet. You find out at some point in this book.
I do love that they do really seem to care for one another.
Yeah.
Like he always calls her Miss Nightsdale, never
Mhm.
just a first name.
Yeah.
She calls him doctor.
Yes, but like it's always
So-
Miss Nightsdale, like every time.
I read ahead. I read to the next issue because I couldn't stop reading. I bought the next 2 issues because that's all it's out right now.
I'll be reading that because it's
Oh,
real
dude,
good.
it is so good. This, so you find out why they're so close. I won't say anything,
Okay,
but
cool.
you find
I'm
out
excited.
why.
I'm
They talk
excited.
about it in this trade a little bit,
Yeah.
but like you see it happen, and it's like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's very.
There's a
cool. It's
lot
very-
about this world I want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, it's so fascinating.
much.
But one thing this book did well that I loved was it kept me in the dark for at least 2, maybe 3 issues as to what is actually going on.
Yes,
It spent the first 2 or 3 issues because I forget exactly where it cut, where they revealed everything. But it threw me into the world. I don't know what was going on, and it was nothing but rich character development.
Yeah.
And that's not what you typically get.
It threw you in, and it didn't say anything.
Like,
but I didn't
the
feel
last book we
slighted.
read that I feel did that well was Die.
Yes.
But even then, they gave you a lot of exposition up front about what's going
Mm-hmm.
on.
They had to,
Yeah.
for sure, in that book.
That's just
This book-
that's a different, way different concept.
I felt behind, but not because I was stupid, or not because like okay, they're doing a bad job of explaining. I felt behind, and I wanted to sprint to catch up. And that's the mark of a good story, is when they can go, oh, there's this thing we're gonna have to tell you about later, and you're like, yeah, tell me about it now. I want to know. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it was a ton of great lore, a ton of great character development, and that's really what I'm here for. Like, in comics in general, I don't like, the fight scenes are cool, but they're not my favorite. I love seeing how these characters grow and evolve, and how things happen to them, and how they're changed as a result. And this was nothing but good character development.
Yeah. Let's talk about use of color in this book.
Okay.
So when they're at Maeda's place, the colors are very brown, deep purple, some pink, maybe some yellow, things like that.
There's purple like throughout the book, which is not common.
But as they introduce this new serum thing, it's a green, and this green stands out hard.
Yeah, it does.
Against the background, and it makes it very apparent that this is something that's important, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
The serum that I'm referring to is what turns these monsters that they're fighting back into people. Now, back into people. Yeah, I hear you saying. I hear you out there. And you're saying, but they're monsters. No, they're not monsters. They're people with corrupt souls. I really like this.
I did too.
Yeah.
So you find out the family business is that people can get corrupted by hatred, and it can twist their souls, and that's what makes them this monster, which is called the Janu.
Now, John, I hear myself saying, hatred.
I did too.
In 1920s America, was there a lot of that?
It's more likely than you think.
So there's probably a lot of these Janu running around.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Like you said, business is good.
Business is a booming.
So
yeah,
and this family has chosen a not popular stance that they believe people can be cured and put back, as opposed to kill the monster. They're trying to reform the monster, cure them of this hatred, get rid of this corruption, and put them back into society.
We see this in them returning to two white bodies to a park in Harlem, and two cops come upon them and say, "What are you two large black gentlemen doing with those people who are unconscious, who are white?"
Clearly, these are the people who have been attacking people in the park.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, hold on. First off, no, we're not. Second off, there's a monster behind you. And they're like, we're not going to fall for that one.
Yeah, it's Berg and Cullen who are doing this.
Giant crow monster.
Yeah, so the cops hold him at gunpoint. Berg says, "Don't shoot." The cop shoots.
Oh, God, so cool.
Berg, in the span of a panel, has dropped the body he was carrying, taken out the staff, and blocked the bullets. Which is nuts.
Now, the staff, mind you, is maybe 1.5 inches wide, and he blocks bullets with it.
Yep.
He's the best.
He's a Jedi.
No. He's better than a Jedi. He's the best. He's so cool. And he's got the best beard.
To be fair, even Jedi cannot block bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they're so expensive in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
It's not.
No, it's far away.
And a long time ago. So the cops see this happen. They're like, whoa, that's amazing. And the guy says, well, I told you not to shoot. And then they both get murdered by a very large crow demon that they assume is a Janu. Now, their information on Janu is they don't talk, they don't rationalize, they are monsters. They're monsters. This thing knows who they are, calls them by name, and speaks to them. And they're like, that's messed up. The other thing that it does is it can infect you,
Yeah.
and it infects Berg.
Hurts our boy.
Yep.
I didn't like it.
Meanwhile, in Mississippi,
This was so awful,
yeah,
but also the coolest.
Yeah.
Because Mississippi. Now, you may not be a geologist, but you know that Mississippi's in the South.
Yep.
it is.
And my geography or my geometry is not great, but I know that it's in the pretty deep South. And in the 1920s, the South, I'm going to say something that I don't feel is that controversial, had race issues.
Some could say that could linger to this day.
That is neither here nor there. That is allegedly, but in the 20s, it was definitely here and there.
Yes.
So we come upon a bunch of people in white sheets, Klansmen, and they're going to burn a black man at the stake.
No, they were gonna hang him.
Hang them.
Lynch him. I apologize. My bad. That's on me. But right before they do that, he unmasks one of them to be a very young boy, and the rest of them get blown up.
Yep.
And who should be the one to shoot all of them?
Ford.
But I have his name.
Ford.
Oh my God.
It's Ford.
Ford. Thank you. I have this really good family tree of all of them right here on my book. See, I have all of them and how they relate to each other.
Neat.
Yeah. This is Ford. Ford is he's a Sangrai, but he's the Frank Castle of the Sangrai. He's gone rogue.
Loose cannon on the edge doesn't play by the rules.
He does not play by he plays by his rules. He is of the mind that you need to kill the devils because they don't deserve to be saved. They just need to die. And he does save one of the people, the boy who was unmasked, because he's not one of the devils.
Yeah.
And how do we know this? Can he see into his soul? No, he's literally just like a person. The rest of them become horrible demon creatures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because hearts are so corrupted by hatred of a different skin color that they become literal demons, and he shoots all of the demons.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Seeing this,
And I feel this boy was like on the edge.
Yeah.
Like I feel had this happened, he would have been corrupted. He would have become Janu.
Yes, and we get to see how intervention can actually make a difference in someone's life here, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, well, maybe." No, we get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So this boy has never killed anybody, but he sees that this happens, and he sees that that's what's going to happen to my heart. I don't want that to happen. So he kind of follows Ford. He tags along with Ford on Ford's journey here. The books kind of jump back and forth, but I say we just kind of follow Ford's story for a second here. What do you think?
I like his story.
Sure. I like doing plot
and
him. Then plot.
Yeah. Let's talk about plot. So Ford and this boy who is called, he calls him Peckerhead a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if he actually
That's not his name.
Did they give him a name?
I believe so.
I'll try and find it if you want to keep going.
I'll talk. Ford and this white guy take the black man who's going to be lynched back to his family. And his family, the way it's written, it's very Song of the South.
His name is Johnny Ray Knox.
Thank you.
John, yeah, because I was like, oh, like Johnny Knoxville.
You get it? So when I say Song of the South, I mean they talk like the racist depictions of black people talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they miss some letters. They say faux show.
A lot of apostrophe that end words.
Things like that. Yeah. They clearly are coming first generation who are not slaves or something along those lines. I'm going to guess that in 1920s Southern America, they didn't have great education because they weren't allowed to. So you see that that comes across in written dialogue, which is hard to portray sometimes, but it's done well here. They're taken back, and the family says like, "Oh, well, we really appreciate you bringing our son back. Did you kill the devils?" And he's like, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, well, you know, it is what it is. You know, you got to get rid of him somehow. You could cure him." And he's like, "Nah, but we agree. You should just kill him." Ford is glad they're safe. Leaves one of his guns with them just in case they come back or some of them come after them. And he takes Johnny north. Where north? Or not north, sorry. He takes him to find the hole these demons crawled out of. They're going to go find that. They do find it in a very old Civil War general looking guy. He's wearing like the gray.
Yep.
He's wearing the
hat on.
hat.
Confederate flag outside.
Yep.
One eye completely closed over, like one tooth hanging up. Very, very goofy looking depiction of him. It's great. He says the N-word a lot to this guy, to Ford. Ford kills him. But here's the thing. He isn't a Janu, because this one can talk.
Yep.
And that's not what Janu do. We know this now. This is not a man who turned devil. This is a devil who turned man.
A devil.
This is very bad.
Man.
This is very bad. So Ford says, well, we got to find out where this guy came from. They look on the back of a picture of Stonewall Jackson,
Maybe.
I think.
I didn't really look.
I'm assuming
They look-
some Confederate general.
Yeah.
Yes, they look on the back of one of those pictures and they see a map. And this is a map of hotspots, but they're also a map of the emergence holes, the dimensional holes where these demons come out of. And that's bad. One of them is in Harlem. So he says, well, we got to go there. We need to get some help. And Johnny's like, what are you talking about? He's like, we're going to Harlem. And Johnny goes with him. And that's Ford's little side plot. It's done very well. I really like this. You see Johnny go from nameless Klansman to someone who realizes they did wrong.
Who
and
is
wants to
literally
be
about to lynch someone.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't get much more like poignant than that, does it?
Yep.
No.
But you see him turn into like someone who realizes that people of color are people. God forbid.
Yeah.
At one point later in the book, he's seen holding up the soup for people he's helping feed.
Which, like, granted, in 1920s Mississippi,
I'm not saying the guy is bad
it's a
because
bit
he's
more of a
born bad.
radical revelation than
That's what I'm saying.
2020
Yeah.
anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Or anywhere in the world. Sorry, anywhere
Absolutely.
else.
I knew what you meant. I liked this. I don't know if Johnny's a character for much longer. I hope that he sticks around for the whole book because I'd like to see him continue his growth. I like that.
I felt he was a very useful way to organically introduce the reader to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that was done extremely well. I did kind of jokingly in my head be like, no, I demand exposition. Okay, fine. It's kind of how I read the comic.
To be fair,
but, like,
most books are done that way. So, yeah. So that's Ford's little side plot. Let's get back to Berg's side plot. Berg was infected, like I said. They scare off the creature that they assume is a Janu, but it couldn't be because it talks.
Yep.
He's becoming a monster.
yeah,
And
he
here's the
doesn't.
thing. Go ahead.
So fleeing the scene is the gigantic bird monster with the same two bodies, holding them and running away. The
Yep.
cops see that. They're like, "Did you see that?" They're like,
Sullivan specifically. The cop is
unfortunately-
on their side.
"Yeah." They go, "Unfortunately, I did see that, so it wasn't your imagination or my imagination." They're like, "Huh, neat." So
something else to note here, by the way. Samuel O'Sullivan is the cop that we like. His partner is a black cop,
Mhm.
which is very out of sorts for 1920s Harlem. I mean, I'm sure it happened, but like, I don't think he was well liked. I'm gonna guess. So it's cool to see that Sullivan, the guy who is an ally to the Sangrai family, has a black partner who is also an ally. That's cool.
yeah, actually, it'd make more sense if we could go through Ms. Nightsdale and Dr. Sebastian's first.
Yeah.
Their plot first. Cool. So it's revealed that the gigantic crow monster is Miss Nightsdale. She can transform.
Oh my god, Jim Crow monster.
Yep.
Oh, I just got
You just got that?
Oh, I feel stupid.
It's okay. It's okay. We're here to
I feel
learn.
really dumb for not picking up on that right away.
Don't worry about it. We're here to learn.
Damn it. I have an English minor, guys.
Ooh, actually, this. I don't know if this is a crow. Do
It's a
crow
crow.
have black beaks or no? Or is that ravens? Ravens have black beaks. It is a
I don't
crow.
know.
Anyway, so it's revealed that she is Miss Nightsdale. She can transform into that monster. and she's delivering the bodies to Dr. Sebastian. And he is eating these bodies.
Dr. Sylvester.
Sylvester, I'm sorry, Dr. Sylvester. And he's eating these bodies. They picked these bodies because they have the serum that the Sangrais, I'm sorry, gave them to revert them from being corrupted to no longer corrupted.
So they have the bad Jinnu in them, the hate, and they also have the serum. These two things are things that Dr. Sylvester and Nightsdale don't have, so now they do.
Yeah. That'll keep them going, keep them alive.
They consume these bodies, not just eating them, but like absorbing them into them. As Dr. Sylvester becomes infinitely more powerful, as shown by him like getting red eyes and like
floating
a little bit. Yeah, kind of a anime final boss battle.
Yes. So
that catches
she's
us
like,
up with,
hey, what's going on? Are we getting like, I thought this was what we would need. And he goes, no, it's not about the serum. Like, we're not trying to make a cure. We don't need a cure. Because, to quote Magneto, we are the cure.
It's the worst cure cover band I've ever seen.
Yes. So
now we're all caught up. All the side plots come together now. Cutting back to Harlem, we see that the cops are saying that, it was, we know who did this. It was these black people who are killing people, and they killed 2 cops. So now we're going to go after them. At the same time this is happening, Berg is going full monster. So the cops are tearing up the people on the streets. Berg is tearing up the town, and Ford is killing the monster. This is all happening at once.
Berg put, I love, even Transformer Monster goes, Jinnu attacks don't cause infection, and it is quite apparent that I am indeed infected.
Yes.
This is a very eloquent way of saying this is not right.
He's so strong that he's still in control, which is really cool.
Yeah, the way I read
like
that part, the way I read that part was like he was super just calm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. But they need to figure out how they're going to stop this. They don't have any magic or science that they can use, but there is someone who does, and it's the quote unquote black sheep of the family, whose name is Enoch Sangrai.
Uncle Enoch.
Uncle.
She refused. Ma Etta is his mom, and she refuses to talk to him because he's the reason that Nora is dead, and Charlie is dead. And Noah and Charlie are
the mother and father of Blink and Cullen.
Charlie is Cullen's dad. Nora is Blink's mom. Blink's dead. Blink's dad is dead, gone, and Cullen's mom is gone, for sure. Okay. The other two were gone in the quote unquote incident that we'll get to.
But it's a verified incident, but yes.
Yes, but it's Enoch's fault that this incident happened. So they've kind of cut ties with him. So Cullen goes to Enoch and is like, hey, I need help. He's attacked by his little bat creature things.
They're called watchdogs, and they're adorable.
They're very
cute. Big fan. And he's like, hey, we need your help. Ma Etta is asking for your help. And so Enoch's like, oh, okay, I guess I can come back, but I don't know what I can do yet.
Well, if Ma Etta is asking for his help, the situation is dire. Because Enoch is dead to her, straight up.
Yes.
Enoch is dead to Blink, straight up.
Absolutely. Blink was super against the idea of going to see him.
Yes. So we have so the timeline right now is Ford is on his way to Harlem. Enoch is going to the Sangrai house to try to cure Berg.
Sylvester has ascended, and he has appointed Nightsdale as his angel of retribution.
Yep.
Did you this is a brief little break, did you like the Scotty Young variant cover for
Yes, absolutely. I loved it. He had the watchdogs and Ma Etta, and is the most adorable thing in this book.
It's very, very cute. So Dr. Sylvester is killing all the cops, killing all the people that he can because he is the cure. Maeda is trying to hold strong at the Sangrai home. This is when we get Berg's great speech.
Berg is like breaking out, and this is a little before that, I guess, and she's using gloves that where there would be Knuckles / Wolverine style claws, there are like green vials of this serum.
Yeah, so she punches the monster side of him into submission. It's great.
Really cool. She said, yeah, she's like too old to run, too stubborn to leave, but like I'm gonna handle stuff while I can.
Yep. So Enoch meets up with the rest of the family. They save some of the people that they can as they're going. Berg is able to control himself. Maeda is punching other demons, but these demons are getting stronger and stronger because Sylvester, claiming himself to be the salvation, not the devil, has made everyone around him stronger because he has discovered that if hate can breed these demons, then pain and suffering can breed a different kind of creature. And the pain and suffering that he and many people of his
ilk,
class, his race, have experienced is pain that people, for sure, I could never imagine. So it's unmeasurable, the pain and suffering these people have been through in this story. So it makes perfect sense that he's able to harness this to become super powerful. With this in mind, he's turned other people into these same creatures, and Maeda doesn't know how to stop them quite yet. Ford does. You kill him. Ford's very good at killing.
Yep.
He walks up and it's like, bang, 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 bang. It's great. It's really cool. Enoch and Cullen are fighting Sylvester, and Cullen... Enoch says, don't go after Sylvester yet. Don't go after him. I mean, Cullen says, I can do it. I got this. Cullen is pulled through the same wormhole dimensional thing that his mother or his father and Blink's mother were pulled through. The same thing that the reason that Enoch is cut off from the family. It happens again. And we find out that quite a few years ago, this happened where those two were sucked into this dimensional portal and they're gone forever, presumed dead. We do find out that they aren't dead, or that you don't instantly die when you get through, because Cullen is saved by somebody. Back in the real world, Enoch, seeing that he's caused the death of another human being in his family, feels horrible, but his family does come to his aid. Ford is there, Berg is there, Blink is there, and they're able to take Sylvester down enough to save the city for now. They've got demons all over the place, but they do kill Nightsdale. They do kill the Crow for now. She dies, which only fuels Sylvester's heart and hate more. Yep. Feels his pain more. She actually gives him her pain and wants to make it stronger, and it does a lot stronger. But Berg is able to be cured completely with a new form of the juice from Enoch. So Enoch has made some retribution, but still has lost another person in his family, which hurts him a lot. This is where we get to see the cops and Johnny Ray feeding the people who have been displaced. Because here's the thing: if you got a big monster fight happening in your city, it's going to get destroyed, which means homes are going to get destroyed, which means people don't have a home. Yep. So that's horrible.
Yep, we saw that happen in War of the Realms.
Sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Every Avengers movie / book. So Sylvester comes back. They fight him off again, but the tides are turning against them. Sylvester's winning until a portal opens up above him, and three. Is it three or
two?
Two. It's three.
I thought it was two.
It's two with a bunch of
and some
watchdogs. Yeah.
Yes, they jump through the portal, beat down Sylvester and his goons long enough to
wearing some sweet steampunk-ish styled full body suits with like goggles and like the hazmat mask.
Yeah,
the like poison gas mask.
Kinda, yeah.
The plague doctor mask.
No, because that's a beak.
The other one has a beak.
Yeah, it's a small beak, but it's there.
It's not like protruding like a foot out though.
Yeah.
So they help beat Sylvester off enough to get him away, and he retreats, but he doesn't. He's like, this isn't this isn't over. I'm coming back. And the family turns and points their guns at these two people who they've never met, and the two people turn around and say, "Hey, Ford, stop pointing your gun at me." He's like, "How do you know who I am?" It's because it is not just random people. It is Nora, who is Blink's mom, and it is Cullen,
Who is
And I will say, Nora reveals
older.
herself first. Nora, to me, looked considerably older than she should be.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
because
so does Cullen.
yeah, 'cause there
But
was
then
only
Cullen
a
reveals
5-year
himself, and it makes more
difference. Yeah,
because he reveals himself later, and he was scrawny, not particularly great, and he at this point he's clearly seen some years in real time. Put up a bit like his build is different,
yeah. He
his hair is different.
when
He's
I
got battle
saw-
scars all over his face.
when
He's
I saw
seen some
him,
action.
he looked a bit like an early '90s The Rock. Just
Yeah,
the way,
when he was Rocky Maivia.
yeah, like his design looks very similar to The Rock.
Oh, sure.
I see that. So the book ends with Cullen taking off his mask, revealing himself, and says, "We can explain everything, but right now we have to get ready. Hell is coming," and the trade ends.
Yeah. Leaves you wanting more.
Not since Die have I finished a book and gone, "When can I read the next one?"
And not since Die has there not been another trade out to read.
Yeah. It hurts. It hurts. But there's not more. Like I said, I did buy the next 2 issues because I could not buy them. So they are in my Comixology, so we can all read them. And they're very good.
I want to read this excerpt from from After the Comic Bitter Truths, That Ain't Nothing But the Devil, written by Chuck Brown and David F. Walker. It says, one of the greatest horrors we face is racism. It is an ignorant, vile, vicious monster that lurks in humanity's past, present, and sadly in our future. Bitter Root takes the monster and gives it a face and a body and an uncontrollable desire to kill. But this series also gives hope in fighting this vicious monster, and that hope comes in the form of the Sangrai family. Sangrais are fighting a never-ending battle to combat and extinguish the monster born out of racism, intolerance, and hate. Bitter Root is filled with action, drama, laughs, and amazing artwork. But at its core, this series is a call to combat the bitter root of racism and hate.
It feels appropriate that we read this book right now. No matter what, but more so with the current state of the world. It just
like it's in like the bitter root in universe. The serum is made of a bitter tasting root. That's the in universe name of bitter root. But clearly, the name is
refers to the fact that racism runs through us
Yes.
like a root, runs through our country and our world like a root. That will never go away, unfortunately.
Yes, exactly.
I can't putting all that aside for just 1 second. David Walker's an incredible writer. Sanford Greene's an incredible artist, and Chuck Brown. I don't have like exactly what he's done in front of me, like page for page, but the 3 of them are just an incredible creative team. That if we lived in a world without racism, this is just an incredible book. The fact that it deals so strongly with such a horrible problem in our real world makes it an amazing book that is worth shoving into every hand that you can.
Yeah.
Like, you need to read this. You need to read this. You need to read this now.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It was really, really good. It was a fun read. They had the comedy was perfect. It was put in the right places, mainly brought in by Berg because he's a precious angel.
He's the best.
Berg is great. He reminded me largely of like Beast from X-Men.
Yeah, I could see
only leaned way harder into comedy.
But yeah, that was great. Ford was great. His whole story I was a big fan of because I like those rogues, those people on the edge, done playing by the system.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it was a super fun book, and it did not feel as long as what the page count said. I burned through it, and it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable story, and it was also very poignant.
I loved it. I think it was incredibly fun. I think it was, like I said, super poignant for right now, and it's just fun to read.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a great book.
Yeah,
it hits on all cylinders.
Yeah, who doesn't like monster hunting?
The monster hunting is very fun. It was refreshing to read something that was not super. It was supernatural, but there weren't superpowers and supervillain necessarily.
Yeah.
That was good. Like I said, it's a masterclass in character development. I love these characters. It's not often that characters are given room to breathe, and you see this many interact with this many, and you could feel that there is their family, yes, but you could feel there is a history with them.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue was very well written to establish that some stuff did go down.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that a lot. Like, a lot of times dialogue is just done for exposition. At this point, it's done to build these characters and give you a much better insight as to who they are. I love the book. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Fantastic. But that's it for the pull list this week. We'll catch you in the outro. We'll talk about what we're reading next week, and we'll hit you with a very poorly timed, written joke because we suck at writing jokes. See you then. And that is the podcast this week, John and Matt. Fun times, good episode. I know that I'll be reading more Bitterroot, absolutely, until it finishes.
100%.
Yeah, it's great.
Next week, keeping with the theme of honoring and putting Black creators into the public, we're going to read a book called Victor LaVale's Destroyer, written by Victor LaVale, Diedrich Smith, Joanna Lafuente, and Michaela Dawn, all are creators and people who worked on this book. A 6-issue self-contained story from Boom Studios about Frankenstein's monster in a different, more contemporary light. You'll have to see what that's about next week, but I am looking forward to reading it.
Yeah.
Me as well.
Yeah, should be a good time.
But I think that wraps up everything that I had.
I've also been looking forward to this moment. Jeremy,
What is this moment? What?
You are on record as saying that with Ruby Rose exiting, they'll just simply recast Kate Kane.
I don't think that I said that.
And it won't be a new character.
I'm pretty
I don't think I said that. Do you have some kind of proof?
I mean,
Yeah.
I got the recording.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the podcast, Jeremy.
Yeah, man.
So-
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like
either.
you can. Yeah, but like, I didn't say that.
You did though.
Can you roll the tape?
Yeah, let's go to the tape.
This is Jeremy, and I definitely believe that they're going to recast Kate Kane and definitely not introduce a new character as Batwoman. And if I'm wrong, I'll buy my best friends John and Matt a root beer float. And if I'm right, I will still buy my best friends John and Matt a root beer float as well because they're delicious. But I won't be wrong, and this won't age poorly, and this definitely isn't John and Matt scheming for ice cream.
That's not.
Also, this is still Jeremy here. This is still Jeremy.
That's not me.
I'm totally right. But in the event that I'm wrong, aside from the root beer floats,
ridiculous.
I'll also write a nice formal apology to Star Trek fans for being a butthole to them.
I would never do that. Never would happen.
And also, I'll do an entire episode on why I think Superman is better and can beat up the Batman. And,
Oh, come on!
And also, just to make sure that you guys know that this is authentically Jeremy, I'm a big fan of Ang Lee's Hulk and think it's a testament of filmmaking masterpieces, and I think we can all learn something from that. And also, that's the podcast this week. Bye.
That wasn't even me.
Definitely said it was Jeremy and not John and Matt.
You're right.
No, that's the podcast this week for real.
You can follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. You can follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.